Welcome. In this video series, we're going to lay in a custom bone set, place the joints and the IK, the rotate plane solvers, in Maya. The first thing you want to check for your model is balance. The ear, the hip, and the ankle should all align at the center of the world. Your character should also be in the center of the world in the front view. When you select your character, you will also need to make sure that you have deleted history, delete by type history, and frozen your transforms. When you have an options box available in Maya, best practice is to open the options, reset that category of tools, and then apply them. Use the default first, then you can play with the settings. You should have no data on your model. It's preferable that your model is in a T-pose if you're using motion capture or the human IK rig. In this example, we're going to use custom bone set. This model is, I've left the sighting in the outliner here. It's a super average man bundled with ZBrush. I'm going to select my model, put that on a layer, and then lock that down as a reference object so I can no longer select that. I'm going to start in the side view in the rigging category of tools, skeleton drop down, create joints. Get your options box up and reset that. Notice in my quick access panel it has loaded as an icon, and I can access it there as well. Close that box and start by finding the center of mass in my hips. I'm going to plot my first joint in the center of that hip area, several joints in the lower lumbar area, and I'm going to honor the slight angle of rotation of that spine. One at the base of the neck, one in the center, and then one at the top, which is the axis point. If I hit F on my keyboard to frame that up, you can see that that's right between the ears. Enter to complete that command. And now I can begin to add the legs. I'm going to go ahead and get my bone tool again. And to start, I'm going to make sure that I click on the current joints so that it's highlighted. Come straight sideways to the fold of the leg, the top of that joint, center of mass, and plot my first joint right here. Noticing that I'm going to go straight down the leg in the front view. However, I'm going to switch to my side view and make sure that I have a slight angle of rotation established in the leg so that when the IK is applied, it knows which direction to rotate to solve. So I'm going to go slightly forward for my knee, still trying to maintain center of volume as much as possible. Come back slightly for my ankle, down to the ball of the foot, and out to the toe. Press enter. Now if I look at that in my front view, I can also make sure to adjust that so the center of mass for the ankle is respected. I'm going to do that by grabbing the top of my leg hierarchy, which is the thigh bone, and rotate. I don't want to position or pull the knee over. That's going to misalign my nice straight line for my bones. Now that I have that center of mass on my ankle, with the same selection, I'm going to skeleton, mirror joints, again get my options box up, reset. YZ is the mirror axis that I want, and then press mirror. Now I have my leg bone string established for my opposite leg. Alright, time to add the arms. I'm going to start with my front view. There are two schools of thought here for adding the arm bone. Clavicle, if you've got minimum movement in your character, you can begin this string a little higher. If you've got more roll and a larger muscle set on your character, it's advisable to start lower. You get more range of motion in that shoulder. I'm going to start with this average character by clicking on this particular joint. Make sure it highlights so that you know you have established a connection between the two. Now, sometimes you'll find the clavicle having an additional joint in the center, or you may find that it simply comes right out here to the shoulder joint, which again is center of mass. I'm going to go ahead and create this particular configuration, and I'm going to also come straight down as much as possible to my elbow and then my wrist. To do that, I'm going to switch to my top-down view. So when I establish my angle of rotation, it's with respect to the angle for which this arm is going to fold. So slightly back for my elbow, slightly forward for my wrist, and then I can come down and begin to establish my first joint set for my hand. If I check that in the front view, you can see that we're off center of mass in this direction, so it's really important to try to establish the best average that you can. The average between making sure that this is straight in two axes. You're only establishing an angle of rotation in one axis, otherwise it's not going to solve properly when you are applying your IK. Alright, that said, we can continue by creating the necessary joints for your hand. I'm going to make sure to place those joints as accurately as possible. You can crawl up and down your hierarchy with your arrow keys on your keyboard. This end joint we're not using for animation, so you can pull that right off the end of your finger if you choose. Now, this mesh is a little messy. It's not very descriptive, so I'm having a little trouble determining what the artist had in mind. Alright, so I'm going to use this position for my wrist, first knuckle, second and third knuckle. I'm going to go ahead and add to this wrist joint to get my ring finger in there. And my pinky. With respect to my pinky, I'm going to start the bone chain right here. We do get a little bit of roll. It's not a joint, but it is the ability to roll this palm area toward the thumb. And by establishing a joint here, you're or able to get the positions you want. Same in the other direction with the thumb. You have some ability to manipulate that rotation from that point. So I'm going to go ahead and drop in these joints. And one more. Now you'll see all kinds of bone configurations for the hands. This is just one of many. It's a more simplified form. It's a little easier for me to use that when I'm using set-driven keys. Alright, you're going to want to make sure to adjust those fingers in the front view too, and then go ahead and mirror those over. Again, you're not grabbing this particular joint because notice you're selecting the spine string as well, and you don't want that, or you'll end up with two heads on your character. Alright, so grab the joint in the child joint of the spine there, and again you're going to mirror that joint once you've established the position of your fingers. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and get the hand joints in there properly. Again, mirror that over once it's complete, and we'll come back with the second video in the series, applying IK. Thank you for joining me today.